Hi, and welcome to another episode of It's Messy, but It's So Good. Today, I'm interviewing Chad Pilieri. Chad shares his journey from Brooklyn to Greenwood Lake, New York, where he founded the nonprofit organization Grow Local Greenwood Lake. The organization focuses on localization and supporting local food. Chad's journey began about 30 years ago when he was studying Taoism, which led him to explore solutions such as permaculture. Through his love of permaculture, he became interested in creating a positive impact on the environment through community gardens and localization. And Grow Local Greenwood Lake initiative was created in March 2018. I had the privilege of being a member of this organization, doing weeding and harvesting in our community vegetable garden this summer and meeting wonderful people. I know you're going to enjoy the show. Hello, Chad.
Hello, how are you, Fran?
Thanks for being here on It's Messy, but It's So Good. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
So I wanted to introduce you to the audience, a little bit about your journey. Chad Pilieri moved to Greenwood Lake, New York from his hometown of Brooklyn with his wife.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. With his wife and two young children over 6 years ago. And he fell instantly in love with it. Chad has been a massage therapist for over 25 years and absolutely loves it. Chad's the founder of the nonprofit organization Grow Local Greenwood Lake. And a little bit about his journey. Chad began studying Taoism about 30 years ago, and it started him on a path towards solutions. He then studied permaculture and became a BUG bug, Brooklyn urban gardener with the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens. All of these experiences led him towards realizing the power of localization and supporting growing food locally. He started Grow Local Greenwood Lake in March of 2018 and became a nonprofit in 2020. Now there's a beautiful shared and open common ground community garden. And we are working with the community on several other projects to bring about this vision. So I can say that I'm a member, and
Yes.
I found the garden this year, and it's been really exciting for me to just be part of working with new people, meeting new people, bringing some veggies home every week,
Sure.
seeing the garden grow. Because this is the first time that I've actually been involved with a community garden. So I think it's the first time. Yeah. So I've really been enjoying it. So thank you for that.
I'm glad. That's the whole idea.
Yes.
And we love having you. Thank you. You're a big contributor on Saturday mornings.
Yeah. So I'd like to start out with just sharing a little bit of your personal journey of discovering your passion. We talked a little bit about it in the intro and your bio, but what does it personally mean to you? Obviously, you've developed this passion for doing this beautiful garden and this nonprofit organization. So if you could just share a little bit about what it has meant to you in terms of your passion, where you started and where you are now.
Oh, thank you. It's really kind of an amazing journey. And, I did touch on it there. And it's really, my journey is a very interesting one because it literally goes back to me buying one book, I guess about 30 something. I don't remember exactly. It was called The Tao of Health, Sex, and Longevity by Daniel Reed. And again, about 30 years ago, I was working in Manhattan, living my life. I guess I was always someone who questioned things, but in a kind of crazy, frantic way. And then I just randomly was in Barnes and Nobles in Union Square, and I just saw that book. Which I didn't normally just buy. I just bought the book randomly. And like literally from the first moment I opened it, like it changed my whole life.
Hmm.
And I'm really glad that you're having me on this podcast, because I'll get back to that also. That, so just, I guess it kind of put to words things that I didn't know that I was questioning, like, just spirituality and different, well, almost Taoism is almost a bit of like a science. It even goes into, breathing techniques and, what you eat and the power of all these things. And like, for some reason that just really exploded my brain, that I was like, oh, I kind of always knew there was more out there. And I didn't really grow up a religious person. My mom was Jewish and my dad was Italian. So like, I guess their compromise was they didn't really ever talk about any, and, it was bad. My dad went to Catholic school and, the nuns would beat the crap out of him. They were not, I think they both believed in God, but just never came up. And that was always a thing. I guess growing up in Brooklyn, that was almost like being biracial back then, like to say you're Italian and Jewish. Because I look, my last name's Italian and I kind of looked Italian, but I was like, I'm half Jewish. But, so this book just kind of really was, I couldn't put it down. And then I'm going to go on for a little bit, if you don't mind, because the book really led one thing to another. And then as part of this book, I would start doing all the exercises, breathing and intention and Qigong exercises. And then, I guess the real transformational thing is it talks about doing a 7-day fast. And at this time I had graduated college, I'd gone to school, I'd done a bunch of stuff, and I could talk you through this fast in real detail. And, tells you to take this, psyllium seed and bentonite. And I bought a home colonic kit, which was pretty wild. I was living by myself. So I said, I'm just doing this. Yeah. I said, I'm doing this. I said, I don't care. Like I was a bit, and I was very frustrated at work. I definitely felt lost and I was unhealthy and kind of chubby. I was definitely not feeling happy. And then I said, I'm just going to do the 7-day fast and follow everything that it says. And it was a real struggle. Like early on, I was like, oh my, because you get to everything, you realize everything you do is involved in food or drink, everything. I'll meet you for lunch. I'll meet you for breakfast. I'll meet you for dinner. It's like, I was a pretty social person, like, and everything I did involved food. So then it, made me start questioning things. And it was like, I'm not actually hungry, because you take this mix of psyllium seed, bentonite would kind of fill your stomach up. And then I just said, I'm not hungry, so I'm not going to eat. And then, like the second, third day, you're going crazy, you're feeling weak. You're obsessing on food. You're dreaming about chicken Parmesan, all the stuff. And, but just, and went on. And the book says, don't stop at that point. That's when most people stop, because they feel they're going to get sick. And then it says, that's exactly the point when you need to not stop, because you're really expelling a lot of toxins. And I did the 2 colonics, a board you lie down on over the toilet. It was kind of crazy. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but stuff was coming out 4 or 5 days later. I was like, must have been, that's in there for a while, because I haven't eaten anything. And the crazy thing was, I guess around day 6 or something, like I started getting a ton of energy. Like, at this point I could have kept going. Like at day 7, I was like lying in bed with tons of energy, and I was like, oh, I could keep going. Like, this is crazy. But after that, I didn't do it to lose weight, but I probably lost 20 pounds, not more. And then afterwards, I couldn't eat this. Like, I didn't have a desire to eat bad food. It was like weird. It was like my body was like, it was even hard to start eating again. I was just like very slow. And then that was, yeah. So it's weird, so then you go back in my regular job in society and kind of still, but I was thinking things differently. I was like, I don't know. I don't want to eat that piece of pizza or whatever. Eventually I got back into, eating somewhat normal, because you're hanging out with your friends. You're like, I'll have a slice. So that book really changed things. And then, through that book, I started taking a yoga class. And feel free to interrupt me whenever you want. So yoga classes, Qigong classes, it kind of started changing my trajectory. And then I was always worried about what I was going to do for a career. And then I wasn't incredibly competent in career type work. Like, doing, like my wife is amazing, she works at Medgar Evers and she can handle her meetings and this. Like, I always felt overwhelmed, and I never really felt like I fully got anything, got it. And like the longer I was at this job, it was real. It was like a very specific job of commercial history. So then it wasn't a job I could transfer anywhere else. So I felt stuck. And then I just started thinking, like, what do I really enjoy doing? So I said, I enjoy having free time. I was being honest. I enjoy learning and So all of this, like as part of the classes, he would have us separate and to do some kind of massage on each other, leaning and pressing points. And I found that very interesting. And then a friend of mine was a chiropractor. Was like, why don't you be a massage therapist? I was like, what? Like that? I never thought of that in my entire life. But that kind of rang a bell. I wound up going to massage school, having an amazing time, which was really, very stressful because, I was like going to change my career from a very set 9 to 5 job to massage therapy. My back went out on me. Like all these things manifested in because I'm kind of intense and crazy, but I went through it. I did it. And that was a great day when I was able to quit my job and go to massage full time. And that changed my life, just the whole nature of, what I did for a living, meeting cool people and working at a much way different way than just going 9 to 5. And then, I met incredible people, friends. Then that led to, again, I'm jumping ahead as we go, my journey. But just again, that book led me to, I was doing more fasting and other stuff, I was doing maybe one fast a year, not 7 days, but 3 days. Then there was this book called, a website, or they sold products called oh God, I'm blanking out, Global Light Network. And I don't even know how I discovered it, because I guess they sold Epsom salts and stuff like that for like taking a bath. And then randomly one day on the web, just like another series of books changed my life. I just saw this thing called the Ringing Cedar series from Russia. And like, it was great. Every Friday, this website would, this email, you would get an email and they would have all these great articles and recommendations. And I was like, I don't know, I'm going to buy this series of books. Like, I don't know why. This is not something I normally do. And it seemed weird, the books from like Ringing Cedar series. And I started reading, and, again, I think at this point, I was probably with my wife and, we're thinking about having kids. I was I'm older than my wife, but, and I was very political and getting into stuff, getting very agitated, reading all these books about the problems of the world. And about having kids, I was like, I don't know, should we have kids? Like, do you want to bring them into this? And so this book was very creative. This series of books in Russia, they're very, very popular. And it's all about this woman, Anastasia, who lives in the forest, and it's very religious. And again, I tend to fight. We have weird feelings about religion, and it's totally wide. It's like, it talks about the power of cedar and the trees. But somehow or another, through this crazy series of books that, if anyone else read it, they'd probably be like, what is this? But like, it does convince you after 9 books, and it has a whole different story of our history of man. About like, and it's true. It shows you, because I guess we kind of assume many things in our society that, when you see a picture, when you think of a caveman, you think of a guy with a spear, this, and you think of people, middle ages, all dirty and, getting plagues. And then, you think of now as civilization, right? But I guess they talked about Vedic culture and in Russia, it's like, we don't really even know much about past 5, 6, 7, 8,000 years ago, but it has a whole alternate history. But it basically talks about the power of growing your own food, and like, if you have your own piece of land and you grow your own food, how it would change the whole world. And like, it literally goes over time and time, different examples of this. And I got a little crazy. Like, I was like, all right, we got to get our own 2.5 acres of land. I tell my wife, because she was from Costa Rica, my wife, Thais, and let's buy land, and we're going to grow our own food, and we're going to, and, I was like a little crazy. I'm intense, but she was like, all right, maybe we'll see. But that somehow, like, at least I feel like I had a solution. That changed my whole world. Like, it's because all these books give you the problems and issues. Like, this book literally said, the power of growing your own food. And I was like, even planting in a certain way. And I'm glad, it's interesting in the beginning of this, when we did a little spiritual settlement that you did for me. And I'll get back to that. And again, I'm rambling. Again, feel free to interrupt me.
No, not at all. It's all very connected, because what I'm hearing is that you just followed your intuition with like, these books came into your path and you could have put them down. But what you did is, there was something in you that was telling you to continue with it. Yes. And that it kind of all like lays out your path, which is amazing.
It changed my life. I feel I was like going down one path, and then I switched. like I was, I went to college. I was going to have this basic job. I was going to probably marry one of the girls and my friends in Brooklyn. And then like reading this book changed everything. So then, even getting more into this, ringing cedars. And I do recommend you read this series of books. It's quite amazing. Then I found out about something called permaculture. I'm like, oh, there's something, because then it would be similar stuff. Like, I guess there was some connection. I was like, oh, I said, people are teaching stuff like this. Like, cause I didn't really, I grew up in Brooklyn. I never touched soil or anything. I guess I watered my grandmother, I had an aunt who loved walking around the botanic garden. She would tell me the plants and I'd just be like, whatever. And my grandmother had a little backyard in Bensonhurst and I watered her tomatoes. That's the only, and I hate to say it, I killed millions of worms and bees when I was a kid. I just squished them. I had no connection with nature. But, so then I guess I started, I'm 57, I'm going to be 57. So how I started much later in life. And then, so I found out about permaculture and I took a permaculture design course, which I don't know if you know much about permaculture. Permaculture is like a way of looking, it's almost like a design system. And it takes, I think it's a 72-hour course that you could take it all at once or over the weekends. And I took one in Hancock, New York on a few different weekends, but it really teaches you like how systems work and how everything's patterns in nature. And so that was also very transformational because then that kind of put things into like solid terminology. Oh, like, this is what a tree, I didn't realize all the stuff a tree does. You could go on for 7 hours of the importance of a tree. I just thought it was a pretty tree and it was wood, but how it filters the water and, it talks about I recommend anyone to take a permaculture course. And it's usually very inexpensive, $1,000 or something. And from then on, you could teach permaculture. It's a very like self-propagating system. And then somehow I discovered, we kind of held off on moving to Costa Rica and buying our own land. My wife Dice was like, chill out, settle down. And it's a good thing because I'm very intense and crazy. Like I wouldn't have any idea what I was doing. I was just like, let's go. We're going to live in a fantasy. And I'm realized now a lot of people that move into intentional communities or do stuff like that, most of them do not succeed because I guess it's maybe built on a similar thought process of let's go and we're going to make a paradise. And then I realized I did focus on saying, wherever you are, focus on where you are and make the change there. So there I somehow go on, have 2 kids, keep on, I'm still continuing my journey. I'm getting involved in community gardens in Brooklyn. And I'm starting a garden in my little outdoor patio. So, I'm learning about, I'm growing stuff. I'm learning the basics. And then moved to Greenwood Lake. And then I found out about a woman, Helena Norberg Hodge. She has this Local Futures. And there's a movie, Economics of Happiness. So for the last 40, 50 years, she's been focusing on the importance of localization and talking about the craziness of the food system and Vandana Shiva. It's many women are definitely my heroes and, leading me in my journey at this point, but, most. And now, so then I took this, course. I'm almost up to current day. Then I took a course of Pachamama Alliance, which is a free online course. And again, that just popped up one day in my thing and it's very inspiring. It's also, very positive messages. And I did change my life from looking at all the problems in the world, which could be overwhelming. That I found that was making me overwhelming, angry, frustrated. You read a book, and you're like, because, you find out all these things, you can go crazy about all the stuff we're doing in society, contrary to what we should, to nature or how it's supposed to work. But I like that I had a solution. So Pachamama was an 8-week course and I went online, but that really helped me focus to say like, and then one day I was just walking around Greenwood Lake and I was like, I don't know, I need to start. I'm doing, I'm not even I'm not that qualified. I don't exactly know what I'm doing. I have no qualities of a leader. I'm cut people off. I'm rude, I'm hectic, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm just starting. It's time for me to do something. I said Greenwood Lake would be the perfect place. It's a small village. There's about 3,500 people. I said, if we all kind of started concentrating, we could do a lot just working together. So I just called some friends together for a meeting at the senior center. Most of my friends, and I said, this is what I'm intending, this is my thoughts, what we could do here. And then ever since that, I was meeting once a month. I guess that was in 2018, March of 2018. And here I am. So Sorry if I,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
that,
And
that's my journey.
I love what you said about, that's what this podcast is really about. It's messy, but it's so good. You know, it's messy that I thought, I don't know what I'm doing, but again, following your intuition and your passion to take inspired action, right? And I'm going to just move forward, and then things just like come your path, right? To help support that as long as we keep going, So I love that. So let me ask you, through your journey, of course, as we all do, you've had some challenges, right? Or obstacles. So what has been, helpful to you that you can share with the audience, in kind of dealing with and overcoming some of the obstacles? And I know that this is also relates to life. It's a personal thing along with your passion project or, your organization. So what helps you?
That's a really good question. We've had a few bumps in the road. COVID obviously took out, then, I've had a bunch of people in the meetings, then they leave, some people you think, oh, this is going to be my right hand guy. Well, just a real quick aside, like 2 people I had that were really early on adopters to grow Local Greenwood Lake, and like key people wound up meeting each other at one of my meetings, getting married and moving to Hawaii. So, which is wonderful. And they had like a whole off the grid, incredible thing. But I was like, wait, I lost 2 people. I didn't have that many people to begin with.
I know who they are.
Oh, Jeremiah.
Yes.
Yeah, they mentioned one of my, and like, I didn't really even know about it. I was like, wait, you like her? And I was like, oh, I think I'm going to take her with me on a trip. And I'm like, all right, whatever, come back. And then, which is, wonderful. But I was like, wait, I lost my whole, there's only 4 of us. I lost 2 people at once.
That's funny because I didn't even realize that they were founding members.
Yeah, Kelly, right. Kelly Collins and Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a wonderful story, but I didn't have that many people to begin with. Right. That was a big problem, but it's also a good thing. I have to say, and I'm really glad I'm talking to you, because I am realizing that one thing I'm very hesitant to do, and I think would be very helpful, is I have a real trouble with the spiritual side of things. I don't know why. I'm very hesitant to talk about it, to enter into it, but I think I am lacking that. I think that would be very helpful with me personally, because Taoism started me all there, but I'm very intense, frenetic, checkbook mentality kind of person. So what's kept me going personally now is that I am totally driven. I feel I'm in the right place. I feel totally at ease in that. Mm-hmm. Like, it's funny. I feel like, I don't know, it's like, I feel like I'm doing something. No matter what's going on in the world, even if it goes to be nothing, I'm doing what I can. So I even told people at our first meeting, I said, you guys can join me or not, but I said, this is going to happen. Right. And I feel it'll be like, it would be better, obviously, if Greenwood Lake was kind of clamoring for this and I was answering that need. But in a way, I'm creating it. Like, we already had a community garden. I made, the second one was offered to me. And I'm like, I feel like, I see what's going on in the world around me. And I'm like saying, this will be a massive need. And I'm, starting, and, everyone loves the idea. I'm not doing anything mean, but, and I'm still trying to figure out how to best communicate what's happening. Like, this year has been a little disappointing because we got everything together amazingly. Our community gardens open, free to everyone, no membership. I got inspired by this woman, Sarah Stewart, in Unity Gardens in Indiana, who I watched one of her webinars, and I was like, that's amazing. And we have a great website and brochures, very clear message, but there's still hesitancy in people getting involved. You and a few other people really joined the garden this year, but I would like a few more people, obviously. So that is a little bit frustrating, but as of now, I am getting through it all by my, intense passion. And I just know, I'm just intensely, I'm just keep moving forward, at least as of now. That could end, because I know there are movements that you see, transition town movements. I am worried about that. I don't want it to be just me, because then, someone moves away and then all of a sudden it's gone. If I left tomorrow, Local Greenwood Lake just disappear.
Yeah.
But then I'm also a control freak. So if too many people got involved, I might be like, hey, I'm a bit torn in my message.
Yeah.
but then, so I, as of now, I don't know if I can give advice to other people, but I guess I feel very right in what I'm doing, and it feels really good, and good things coming out of it. So it's just like, I'm going to keep going. No, no matter
Exactly.
what's happening. Right now, I'm definitely got the mentality of like, I'm going. Hopefully you join me. If not, I'm keep going anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it would be really helpful to me, I think, and really good if I had a little bit more of a spiritual, like if I was able to calm down. Sometimes I rush through things, when I go to the garden. I could read about it for 7 years, then I plant seeds in like 5 minutes instead. That should really be a whole procedure. I would love you to come and, let us all, 10 to 15 of us there. Let's take a moment to give thanks. Let's
Yeah.
have intention on these seeds, what we're doing. Like I'm hesitant to do stuff like that. I don't know why. I feel like I'm not qualified, or people make fun of me. I don't know what it is.
Well, if you think about it, it's like when you started the garden, you kind of felt, I'm not qualified, but who's really qualified, right? It's all about, to me, it's like, it's your intention, and it's messy because we box ourselves in to what a perfectionist perspective, because that's how we stay safe, right? Our brain is there to kind of keep us safe. And you have so much passion that you were able to burst through and step in. So kind of reframing the spiritual perspective, just making it your own, and just saying like something so simple, and it's just starting, right? It's just like, even doing, like, before I do the podcast with my guests, I always do a short meditation, and it came to me
That's wonderful.
to do this. And then and then there was a thought that was like, oh, well, maybe some people will think that's strange, even though I do so much meditation, as my role as a coach and a nurse and so forth. But then, let that thought go and just see it for what it is, which is just trying to keep us safe. Our brain burst out of that box and just try something new. I mean, really, what could happen?
Yeah.
Are the
No, but
plans going to attack you if you don't do it the right way?
well, no, I mean, no, it's funny. I do know people who are incredibly well informed. Some of the people I met, through Facebook. I met up like a bunch of people that you just see their posts and you're like, oh, that's that person. We're kind of like minded, and some of them is so knowledgeable. I'm like, and it's fun. Like, I guess I'm kind of knowledgeable, but if someone told me tomorrow I guess I started this whole community garden and it's growing beautifully. I I had some help, but I was pretty much all me. So I guess I know something, but like if someone said, help me start my garden, I'd be very hesitant to do that. Because my actual vision is that Greenwood Lake has 70 or 80 or 100 gardens in their backyard, and that we all kind of share that. We have, because we don't have any actual farms in Greenwood Lake, that like our farm could be everyone's harvest. But then I'd feel hesitant and insecure about telling someone I'm going to go in their yard and how do you step this up? Because then some people checking soil, they always checking soil quality and talk about, and I'm like, I tested it. I hope it's good. I'm going to keep on adding good things to it.
Yeah.
So I definitely suffer from, and I'm starting a food scrap collection program. Like I took a composting course, but I don't exactly know what I'm doing. Like I'm praying someone else to come along
Yeah.
who really knows what they're doing.
Keep praying, because, I'm sure it'll happen. Like when I get ahead of myself, even though my vision might be wonderful, I just say, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Just go back to simple. What is the simplest thing that I can do? Because I know that the brain goes, what? And then we get away from our vision and our passion, and we start feeling stressed and frustrated and disappointed. So that helps it all. Just that slogan, like just keeping it simple, because I'm using that myself through my own creative process, and my vision for the podcast and, everything in my life. So, and it takes a lot to remember that too sometimes, so.
That's important. Yeah. Keep it simple. Right. 'Cause I keep on wanting to add onto, like what grow. I'm very impatient. I'm like, all right, let's go. I was hoping there'd be 20 people at the community garden right now, and we'd have crop swaps so people come down, but that's not quite happening yet. I tend to sometimes focus on what's not happening as opposed to what I would like to change.
Right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that and your honesty because it does, I mean, people relate to it and, yet you still are creating something and have created something that is so powerful and, that people enjoy being part of. And it will grow in time, one step at a time, you know? I wanted to ask you what projects you're involved in right now that you would like to share with the audience.
Thank you. Yes. So, again, I always want to stay involved in Grow Local Greenwood Lake is our mission statement is to create a local food system, regenerative, resilient local food system in Greenwood Lake and the surrounding communities. I guess my dream is that Greenwood Lake kind of, not become 100% self-sufficient, but we definitely up our self-sufficiency a lot. And then you could hook up with Florida, Pine Island, Warwick, and then you kind of create a food hub, and then you have a food region. And then, just before you know it, you could, so much of our food restaurants would be serving food all from, within 50 miles. So currently we have the community garden, which is moving along. The foods, then we collect food scraps at the farmer's market every Saturday from 9 to 1. That's kind of building up. And I met with the mayor, that we need a little help with because there's only so many food scraps I could take. We have a compost bin at the garden.
Right.
But more and more people start, if this becomes successful, I definitely need the help with the village of like maybe making a bigger compost bin. There's a DPW area where they have leaves and all this stuff, then that'd be perfect. If I could somehow get help taken, because, it gets heavy, these food scraps, bringing it up there. So that's something that's really, that could scale up quickly. So I'm a little nervous about that. So far, it's just me. But it's a good, everyone loves bringing the food. It makes them feel good. Right. I definitely want to find a way to connect people between, being part of it and then being involved in it. Like I'm finding that tricky. Then we also, we have a big farm to table fundraiser that we set up. This is scary for me at the Elks on September 8th, Friday. Jamie Heller of the Buzz will be the chef there. And we were just talking about doing a fundraiser because again, our community garden is free. We don't charge anything. We have no membership. So I said, eventually, I guess we do need some money to do things. So I said, at one of our board meetings, I was like, oh, I would love to have something we could do that we're known for, like a yearly fundraiser. And then we thought of a farm, Camille thought of a farm to table dinner, and now it's grown to like a big, hopefully this could be a big event, but this is out of my, league of, setting up a dinner and, how do I'm a little, we have a nice committee put together, but this is like the biggest thing we've done of like a real event that I hope goes well.
And maybe it could be like a yearly event.
Yeah. We said the first annual, and we do it at the Elks because I want everything to be in Greenwood Lake.
Sure.
I definitely want, obviously, I mean, I love the Elks, but we could have gone like Warwick Valley Winery, beautiful, or the beach would have been beautiful. But I was a little worried about the weather, like then I can't be stressing out if it's going to rain.
Right.
And the Elks has a nice outdoor area. And, that's the key with me. I want to keep everything within Greenwood Lake. So I have that. So that's our biggest project coming up in a few weeks. And hopefully many people will attend this fundraiser. I feel guilty about charging, but we have to make some money.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. It's a fundraiser.
Yeah, we try to do I try to do everything for free. As much as I could do with the pallets or things that are around. I try to we even built a whole community garden for very little money. And then I guess I'm continuing moving forward with that. Against next year, I would like to focus a little bit more on, like I said, my true vision is to have people growing food in their yards, and then somehow like a victory garden movement without the war. Really having people like maybe even Greenwood Lake is broken up into neighborhoods like Windermere Park and Greenwood Park. Like, how can we then kind of get people sharing because we're never going to grow on, individually, especially in Greenwood Lake, we have small yards. So you're never going to grow enough to live on. And I'm not expecting people to come down from the government or big business to help us. But I think if a community of us, if 10% of this community starts growing food, we would start producing a lot of food. Like more than we'd be able to share our excess. And then you have to utilize that. So that would be our next project. But this year is, getting the community garden going, getting the concept of an open garden, the food scrap collection, compost thing. That's kind of a big deal, but people don't realize it. You're like dropping food scraps and then you combine it with leaves, then you have soil. I kind of want to make a circular loop. Everything could stay in the village that I grew my food, I ate it. I put the stuff in a food scrap and we make soil for next year. So like we could kind of keep it in a loop. rather than traveling. But anything else going on as far as projects? And then, I want to maybe this in the summer, winter, show some movies in the senior center,
Mhm.
more just discussions, getting people involved. Like, how do I want to hear people's ideas. What do you think we could do to make Greenwood Lake more resilient or more regenerative? I want this all to be fun. I don't want this to be like me preaching, which I guess I could definitely be a little preachy. Like, I don't want to force, I guess I am forcing my vision on people, which it's probably not the right way to go about this, but I'm hoping that this could be a fun thing. Like, we just have very nice gardens. I would love Windermere Avenue. See, we're having a centennial celebration next year in Greenwood Lake, which is a lot of plans for that. I would really love somehow to have Windermere Avenue beautifying that, growing on native pollinators, some edible bushes, all on Windermere Avenue. So, change the whole appearance of it.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
But then I don't like to come up with any idea that I can't then figure out how to do. Like, that's going to cost money. Who's going to maintain it? And so I'm still figuring that. Like, again, I would love someone to come forward and be like, I don't know a ton about like native, most of the stuff I know is about edible food. To me, everything is functional. Can I eat it? Is it medicinal? Is it that I love, and I love a pretty flat, but I'm starting to find out how important all these native and even non-native, there's a big debate with native, non-native flowers are so important to the pollination process. Many of them are edible. Many of them are medicinal in a deep level, so I would like to have chickens walking around the village. I mean, I know I got to take it easy, but to me, like rewilding a bit would be wonderful. But those are immediate projects.
That's fantastic, Chad. Well, we're going to wrap up, and I always ask my guests this one question, and that is, what is the biggest gift you've received from your passion?
Oh, the biggest gift I received is peace of mind. I guess with all the stuff going on in the world, which could definitely overwhelm. Like if I come in and watch the news, I sometimes it cripples me. I go about my day, or I read story. I'm like, but at least I guess I have a peace of mind knowing that I'm doing, what I can. And all I can do is my piece. And I'm this. I do massage therapy, which is good. I'm doing no harm.
Yeah.
So I guess that does give me, in some crazy way, like no matter what happens, like I do have a peace of mind saying, all right, I might tell my kids, I tried, this is what I did. You could say, what did you do? I was like, well, whether you think it's dumb or not, I tried something. So personally is, I guess, peace of mind.
That's beautiful. And, you're following your passion, and it can get messy, but it is so good. You have this sense of, I guess, purpose in a way, and fulfilling that creative vision, even though sometimes if you look at it like, yes, it's steps and you don't feel like you've maybe reached that pinnacle, but you are reaching it with each thing that you do, even each thought, right? And it's very inspiring. And I want to thank you on behalf of the community for all the work that you do. Because it does make a big difference. And, it's a big vision, and it's important. So thank you.
Well, I just want to say that I definitely want to work with you a little bit more as far as really, even maybe you could be part of Grow Local Greenwood Lake. I mean, I definitely want to enter, and even I think personally, I need to really relook into my, spiritual aspect of it. Because right now I'm very checklist. I'm like, we got to build a community garden. But I think it's also important that I personally come to be right. I'm getting a little frantic as far as like, I built a garden. Why are people coming to the garden? I'm doing this, why are people coming to the fundraiser? So, I definitely want to find a little more peace. And I do my little morning, I say positive affirmations, and I do Qigong, and I meditate, but, maybe you and me on separate could get together and, really work on calming down, being present, and really, living rather than just going through the motions, like being more present would be a big help.
Well, I would be honored to do that.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Sure. And one last thing, How do people contact you, Chad? I'm going to be putting it in the show notes as well, but
Okay.
just if you want to share.
Yeah, well, we have a wonderful website, Grow Local Greenwood Lake, spelled out .org, that, really we built out this year. And it almost, it says how you could join. You could be part, how to join as a newsletter, you could send emails to me. And, that should answer almost every question, gives about our mission statement, our thoughts, how you could sign up for the fundraiser dinner, how do you be part of the community garden? There's even a volunteer sign up sheet. So, I feel good. And again, I was like, we built out, I'm like, oh, good. Now millions of people are going to join. No, we built a website now, 500 members, not exactly going that way, but it should give you that is our biggest challenge. Is like, Grow Local Greenwood Lake is such a great idea, but like, how do you then, and I even think people love the community garden. Like, I think they don't know, like, how do I become part of it? Like that's our biggest thing is like how, and I'm glad that I met you, my friend Dana's house and everything, but just to say, I want to become part of this garden. And then I have to, I need to find a way to say, oh, sure, come on down. And then I don't know exactly, don't weed or, water, whatever. Like I want to make people feel welcome and not like, I don't know what to do. But I also don't want to tell people, you do this. I don't want to have to be the leader telling everyone. So that's a tricky line that I'm trying to figure out how to do. Both, but just to be a little more open and communicative and have people be more a part of it. Say, oh, well, I want to do this. I want, maybe have it a real community garden where everyone is. Maybe we should all plant together. Like right now, I kind of plant everything, but maybe, yeah. But again, I'm rambling. But I would like to be more involved.
Yeah, and is there an Instagram that you would like to share?
Yeah, I have I don't even know how to say that stuff. There is Grow Local Greenwood Lake has a Facebook page and Instagram and Twitter, even though I'm barely on Twitter, but I do post stuff all the time. I never know what's going to be a successful post. To me, it's the best post ever of, the greatest interview between these incredible, I like Charles Eisenstein and Zach Bush and Vandana Shiva and Helena Norberg-Hodge. These people I find very inspirational. And, they get like one view. Then I put a picture of like a bird and it gets like, it's like, I'm still figuring out how to reach. And then maybe I should be more direct. Like one time I said, just come to the garden and pick take free tomatoes. And then, instead of me being clever about, saying, get rid of lawns and grow this, like maybe I just should be more direct saying, come tonight and pick tomatoes.
Yeah. Try it and see if it makes a difference. Do you want to share your email or would you prefer?
No, it's Grow Local GWL @gmail.com.
Okay, perfect.
GWL agree. And again, our website is Grow Local Greenwood Lake, fully spelled out .org. So between those two things, you should be able to reach us. We'll come by our garden open hours of Saturday morning. We can see Fran. And Wednesday evenings, when I'm trying to do crop swap or something, we're really trying to promote also that people, you have extra zucchini, you have extra carrots. Come and swap them with each other. I bring a lot of the excess stuff to the food pantry or the senior center. This year was less,
great.
But otherwise you could just come down to the garden, 13 Poplar Street, and harvest whatever you want. It's open. The gates are not locked.
And Wednesday from 6 to 7:30, right? Saturday from 10 to 11:30?
Or even seems 9 to 11. I guess you get there. You'll get there earlier. Sylvia. So just come down and. Right. I mean, we'd love you to be part of it, but you could literally come and pick some tomatoes. Tomatoes are coming in now or whatever you want. I'm just trying to I want people to I don't want to come from a place of like, oh, I'm going to grow food and give it to you. Like, I'd rather have people be part of it. Like even food pantry. I don't want, like come like I'm some brilliant savior. You go, I know how to grow food and I'm going to give it to you. And if you're smart enough, you need healthy food. I want it to be like, come be part of it. Let's learn together and, grow, you learn how to grow stuff and you could eat what you just grew. That would be ideal.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on. It's messy, but it's so good. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right,
You're
bye-bye.
welcome. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us. And Chad, thanks so much for your interview and all the work that you do for your community. Chad wanted me to share that there is an event coming up on November 9th. It's a movie screening that's free called Muckville, which follows the story of a local family farm through the Polish wave of the early 20th century, through the onset of climate-driven crop failures in the 1990s. There's so many events that Grow Local Greenwood Lake produce, and if you'd like to contact them and you want to get some ideas about how you can do something like this in your community, contact Chad at growlocalgreenwoodlake.org. So thanks, Chad. And I also wanted to remind you, if you would like to receive a reflection and passion journal prompt document, you can go ahead and click on the show notes, and this will subscribe you to my newsletter so you'll be aware of all the podcasts that come out. So thanks again for joining us at It's Messy, but It's So Good. See you next time.